The spiritual master teacher, unifier. Seers have since long foretold that the spiritual master teacher, unifier, will come from the Nordic countries to initiate the new age, the golden age for man, and finish what Christ began about 2160 years ago at the entering of the Piscan age through John the Baptist. This time, Sweden has been chosen as the place for the appearance of the spiritual master teacher. Sweden hasn't been at war since 1809 when defending Sweden's southernmost part, the county of Skåne, against the neighboring countries, Norway and Denmark, that claimed the area. The spiritual master teacher is the messenger, ambassador of the new age, the golden age. The spiritual master teacher's mission and goal is to establish a peaceful and just world, a global civilization on Earth where a new type of common authorities are to develop, like a world parliament, world government, and world court, and other agencies worldwide. These will be managed by the central race, the cosmic federation that are in charge of the development in the universe, hyperspace. These are subordinated to the supreme creator, creative power, first source intelligence, Christ power, Satpurush. Those people who are to join the new civilization, the fifth in order, will through various spiritual, scientific and technological solutions to various challenges create the Shangri-La, that is a paradise on earth. They will stand united in their spiritual striving and create a civilization of greatest harmony and perfection, a world that reflects the supreme creator, creative power, first source, Satpurush, the Christ power's fundamental principles and characteristics on earth. John the Baptist said, "I baptize you with water for repentance, but he who is coming after me is mightier than I, whose sandals I'm not worthy to carry. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and fire." The spiritual master teacher of the new age initiates and baptizes man in the sign of the sun. The element fire symbolizes a higher qualitative multidimensional consciousness. This consciousness is no longer affected by man's lower quality characteristics, that is, thoughts and emotions that characterize the animal-human stage of consciousness, where barbarism dominates over common sense and peaceful living. John the Baptist's baptizing over 2000 years ago was the symbol of man's initiation into an intellectually related emotional thinking and emotional willing, which is connected to the reptilian brain and the limbic system. The element water symbolizes everything associated with feelings and emotions, no matter if they are positive or negative in nature. John the Baptist's reincarnation in 1919 in the shape of Johnny Lovewiston, who spent his time in Ecuador, was intended as a preparation for the emergence of Maitreya Buddha Lovewiston, the spiritual master teacher at the beginning of the new age, the golden age in the north. Sandro A. Marcus is spiritually called Mark John. He was born July 7, 1939 in Budapest, Hungary. He grew up next to the Hungarian Puszta with his aunt under simple conditions. Since he was illegitimately born, he wore his mother's surname, Juhász, which means shepherd, until he turned 12 years old. His name was then changed to Mark. Already as a child, he had recollections of his past lives. In the summer of 1953, after his graduation, when he was 14 years old, an event occurred that would turn out to totally change his life. One sunny morning, the summer of 1953, he sat as he used to be beside a creek under a willow tree on the Hungarian Puszta. He played with some catfish in the muddy water, philosophizing about life. Suddenly, he felt a sharp electric shock hitting him in the back. He turned quickly to see what caused the shock. Then he saw a very powerful light, brighter than the sun just a few feet away. The powerful light blinded him, and he tried to protect his eyes with his hands. But the light rays pierced his hands and gave him a sensation of millions of tiny pinpricks. The light embraced him completely, and a panorama of unearthly beauty opened up before his inner sight, which only few people on earth have ever seen. His consciousness was raised to a high-dimensional transcendental level, where the past, present and future were interwoven into a single tapestry. All of creation was a single hologram where everything pulsates like little stars, creating various fractals and patterns. Everything was interwoven into one single entirety that reflected itself in everything in different levels of energy and consciousness. He saw events that have occurred in the past, events that are happening now, and events that not yet have come to pass, but will in the coming decades. There was no separation between events. What we humans perceive as separation or separate events has to do with our limited three-dimensional sensory ability, with our consciousness to do. A voice spoke to him in Hungarian and encouraged him to leave Hungary and go to Sweden. There he would found a platform, a development center in cosmic psychology and life sciences according to the Celeste method, a method that has not previously been available to man on Earth. Parts of this knowledge have previously been taught in so-called mystery schools in Egypt, Greece, Tibet, India, and in other countries for only a few initiates. Not even the Illuminati have access to this knowledge. This life science was to integrate and unite man on a joint platform, independent of race, national origin, color, gender, ideology, or social status. At that time, he didn't understand the meaning of the message. It would take 3 years before he could leave Hungary. This occurred in connection with the uprising of the Hungarian people against the ancient Soviet-occupying power in September 1956. He came to Sweden in November 1956 when he was 17 years old. Between 1957 and 1982, he conducted studies and research in science, cosmology, and anthropology. He gained experiences in both family life and from work. This was necessary for his upcoming mission in the service of mankind. In 1976, after having completed 5 years of studies within Northern Buddhism, the Mahayana Buddhism, and Orthodox Gnosticism, he received his doctoral degree in sacred theology and philosophy from the non-governmental University of Natural Living Science of Man, founded in 1962 in Vilcabamba, Ecuador, by Johnny Lovewisdom, the hermit of the Andes. Sandro A. Marcus was also appointed the highest authority, president of the Northern Pontifical Academy, with the authority to re-establish an institution of higher teachings. Johnny Lovewisdom appointed him Patriarch, Archbishop of the Gnostic First Christians of Antioch, Syrian Orthodox Church for Denmark, all the Scandinavian countries and Baltic states, with all the belonging rights and privileges. He received his next doctoral degree in acupuncture in 1977 from the Institut Polytechnique d'Anthropologie in Bordeaux, France. Sandro A. Marcus became a certified clinical hypnotherapist in 1981 at the College of Clinical Hypnosis in Honolulu, Hawaii, in the USA. Sandro A. Marcus, Mark John, left Sweden definitely in 1982 and returned in 1989. During this period, he spent time in India, Sri Lanka, Japan, and Denmark. He received his MD degree in complementary medicine in 1984 at the Open International University for Complementary Medicine and Medicine Alternative in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Sandro A. Marcus was awarded the International Peace Award in 1984 by Académie Diplomatique de la Paix, Pax Mundi, in Brussels, Belgium. He was further appointed Peace Ambassador in 1989 by l'Organisation Mondiale de la Presse Diplomatique in Brussels, Belgium. He also was appointed to the International Man of the Year 1991-1992 in the International Who's Who of Intellectuals for his humanitarian activities by the International Biographical Centre in Cambridge, England. He was further awarded honoris causa in Master of Education, Doctor of Science in Anthropology 1991 in Madras, India, and honoris causa Zoroastrian College 1991 in Mumbai, India. Sandro A. Marcus is the founder and former president of the International Academy for Global Human Culture, AIC. It was founded 1989 in Stockholm, Sweden. He was appointed diplomat and cultural attaché between 2004 and 2009 in Sweden for the Scandinavian countries and Hungary by the diplomatic organization Human Bioethics Treaty Organization, HBTO, in Washington, D.C., USA. Today, Ann-Sofi Hammerback Sophia is the president of the International Academy for Global Human Culture, AIC, and the Association for Global Human Culture, AIC. Ann-Sofi grew up in Stockholm, Sweden. After her finishing school, her interest in dance awakened. She attended various courses at Kulturama in Stockholm and at the Ballet Academy. After that, she began a 3-year education as a dance teacher in classical ballet and modern dance. Before that, she studied at London Contemporary Dance School, The Place, in England. She holds a bachelor degree in dance philosophy and education. She is trained in health and resources development of Axelsson Gymnastic Institute and Celeste Institute in Stockholm, Sweden. 1989, she awarded doctorate degree in sacred theology from the International University of Natural Living Science of Man, Loja, Ecuador. Sandro A. Marcus is not only a theoretician, but has helped thousands of people to better health. He has also been active as a local politician of the Public Health Board, in the Social Welfare Board, and as a member of the City Council. He has authored 10 books on life sciences, health, and resource development. He has created the Celeste method to be the first philosophic and scientific system that integrates Western and Eastern philosophy, medicine, anthropology with Western technology. He is a renowned public speaker and seminar holder in multidimensional cosmic consciousness and human resource development. In 1989, when he returned from Denmark to Sweden and there established the private academy foundation, the l'Académie Internationale de Culture Humaine Intégrale, AIC, the International Academy for Global Human Culture. This was to promote philosophy, culture, science and technology related to the human conditions, progress and development, and adapted to the 21st century's demands and challenges. The Academy Foundation is a non-governmental organization, which means it's independent and free from sectarianism, fanaticism, religious and political beliefs, idolatry, and fully according to the instructions he received on the Hungarian Pushta, the summer of 1953, by the luminous being. The Academy Foundation has the task to act as a free education and development center for the future man and the new civilization. The teaching is conducted through distance tuition, seminars and workshops. After more than 40 years of studies, meditation, gathering of life experiences, and telepathic communication with more highly developed intelligences, Sandro A. Marcus compiled the World Doctrine, which for the first time during humanity's 26,000 years of history is available in its entirety for all truth seekers who are searching for the meaning of life, the light above darkness, joy above sorrow, spirituality above beliefs and idolatry, truth and honesty above falsehood, generosity above greed, freedom above constraint, peace above war and destruction. Christ said, "The kingdom of God is within you." He also said that we must seek the truth within us, and that the truth will set us free. The truth is closer than hands and feet. In the Gospel of Thomas, we can read the following: "Those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed, shocked, and when they are disturbed, they will marvel, be surprised, and will rule over all, become king of the universe, heaven." So far, people have been searching for the meaning of life outside themselves in churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, sacred sites, universities, college, literature, etc., without finding it. What man calls truth is nothing but perception or illusion, which is the mind's ability to speculate and interpret what happens through the senses. But the truth cannot be found in an exterior building that is made by human hands. The truth is found in the living temple of man that has been prepared for us to live and work in. Sandro A. Marcus, Mark John, has written down the World Doctrine. It has taken more than 4 decades and consists of thousands of pages of written teaching materials. Parts of this material are presented digitally as videos along with encoded audios and fractals. These parts are only intended for members of the AIC Association. The World Doctrine includes also development program, a special cleansing program that removes from the human being negative thoughts and feelings. Moreover, the World Doctrine includes a health program that is unique in its kind. These programs are necessary as a preparation for the entrance into the New Age. The World Doctrine is the first and only of its kind in modern history that explains life from a higher quality multidimensional perspective. This allows man, for the first time during his earthly development, to be able to understand the meaning of life, what Jesus Christ mediated through John the Baptist. In John's Gospel, chapter 16, verses 12 to 15, we read the following: "I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth, for he will not speak on his own authority. But whatever he hears he will speak, and he will declare to you the things that are to come. He will glorify me, for he will take what is mine and declare it to you. All that the Father has is mine. Therefore, I said that he will take what is mine and declare it to you." The spiritual master teacher is here to initiate the New Age for the people of Earth. He is sent by the Supreme Creator, Creative Power, Satpurush, Christ, First Source Intelligence, who is the creator of soul atoms, souls. The spiritual master teacher's mission is to initiate man in the sign of fire, the sun. This means a unification, a connection of the individual soul atom, soul, with its seat in the forehead region, with the all-encompassing ocean of energy and consciousness. Thus, the individual soul atom is to be connected with the source of 0-point energy, the original source, first source, the Christ consciousness field. Only then can man be free from his limitations and sufferings of all kinds and achieve a higher quality soul-dominated consciousness. The spiritual master teacher makes available the World Doctrine to all truth seekers who voluntarily and actively want to contribute to the spreading and realization of the AIC's 8-point program. To those seeking the explanation of the meaning of life and relief from all kinds of sufferings. With its content, the World Doctrine constitutes a 7-year training and development program that leads man to a higher qualitative multidimensional consciousness and the liberation from all forms of constraints and sufferings. This leads to the world that John describes in the Revelation, chapter 21. But to be part of the cosmic community and find heaven within us, we must cleanse ourselves from all kinds of negative thoughts and feelings, which have been stored in our subconscious data field, in our DNA structure over millennia, which to date have prevented us from reaching the goal with our cosmic development. During the New Age, the Aquarian Age, the Golden Age, there is no room for negativity, abuse of power, hatred, hostility, destructiveness, war, anarchism, etc., which destroy the life of man, nature, society, and constitute an obstacle in the way to man's cosmic development. All kinds of negativity, destructiveness that man carries within himself in the form of thoughts and feelings belong to the barbarian stage, the animal stage of consciousness, and not the human stage, whose basic foundation is unconditional love, wisdom, and a moral life. All life is sacred regardless of whether it regards the mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, or human kingdom. Those who take the lives of others must pay dearly in this life or in the next, in the form of suffering, misery, problems of various kinds. No one can escape this responsibility. Many believe that they will automatically be enlightened or have free entrance to the New Age. They have been indoctrinated by false gurus that attract weak, fearful, insecure, gullible, controllable people to mislead them and exploit them for their own egocentric purposes. These gurus claim to serve mankind, but in reality they are conscious or unconscious tools, instruments of the draconian, satanic mind power. The people following these gurus will be deeply disappointed when they discover that they have been deceived and that things will not turn out as promised and as they have imagined. Nothing that these gurus have promised will come true. To be included in the new civilization, it requires perseverance, patience, focus, effort, consideration, tolerance, selflessness, modesty, willingness to cooperate, unconditional love, moral life, etc. One cannot be a successful athlete, artist, professional, etc. by just sitting still, waiting for something to happen all by itself. One must exercise daily to reach the top. How can one be so naive to think that one can become enlightened or achieve a higher qualitative multidimensional consciousness by just sitting with arms crossed doing nothing? These false gurus, prophets, who to date have misled their followers and have built for themselves golden palaces, and because of power interests, egocentricity or economic interests have abused their followers, who were seeking the answers to the mysteries of life, will not be included in the new civilization. They will be revealed as impostors. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. All forms of sectarianism, fanaticism, or idolatry, regardless of its nature, will cease. Earth has recently entered a photon belt, neutrino belt, extending far out from the star Alcyon in the Pleiadian star system. This happens only once every 26,000 years. Earth will be in this photon belt throughout the New Age, the Zodiac, that is for about 2,160 years. And this will change and restructure all life on Earth. Humans cannot imagine in the wildest fantasy how the society of tomorrow will look like. Everything man so far has hidden, concealed, been unaware of, will come to the surface. It goes without saying that when Earth enters the photon belt, then our Sun's solar activity will increase. This means a direct impact on all life on Earth. Every person has the freedom to choose either the path leading to continued development or the way leading to stagnation. The choice is in our hands. Man must learn discernment to sift the wheat from the chaff. The spiritual master teacher, unifier, is only a guide, an ambassador who through own knowledge, experience and communication with higher dimensional worlds wants to help people to become aware of their own identities, their abilities and their roles during the new age. The transition between the past and the new is the most difficult time in man's 26,000 years of history. It requires a breaking off with the old and a new consciousness in the new in order to adapt to the demands that will be imposed on us, both as individuals and as a civilization. In John's revelation in the Bible, Book of the Books, chapter 19 till 21, it's clear what will happen in the beginning of the new age. The World Doctrine, with its 8-point program, constitutes the basic foundation for the International Academy for Global Human Culture, AIC, and the new human being, the new civilization on Earth. One world commonwealth, one fraternal humanity, a flag of love, wisdom, one moral standard, one language of understanding, above all frontiers, above all prejudice, above all traditions. Anyone who agrees with AIC's 8-point program are invited to become members of a global community. The entire earthly civilization is at this crossroads. For the first time in our evolution on Earth, every individual faces the following choice: either to follow the path of the mind leading to a dead end, to stagnation, or we choose the path of the soul leading to greater heights of cosmic consciousness and development. The latter path was referred to by Christ through John the Baptist over 2,000 years ago. How many of the 2.6 billion people on Earth who call themselves Christians have so far followed the teachings of Christ, both in word and in deed? Now is the time to act. The path that people, individuals, choose will be crucial for their survival on Earth and also for their future destiny. In the initial phase of the New Age, a cleansing process is taking place, which means that all negativity that man over the millennia have stored in their subconscious field in the DNA matrix, and to date have swept under the carpet, must be removed. We must get rid of all those negative, destructive characteristics, thoughts, emotions, that so far have affected our lives, our destiny, in a negative, destructive way. The balance of the mineral, plant, animal and human kingdoms must be restored before a new world, a new civilization can be born. All kinds of negativity, destructiveness, belong to the animal-human stage of consciousness. In the human stage of consciousness, there exists no negativity or destructiveness. In the New Age, there is no room for any kind of negativity or destructiveness. Natural disasters in the form of earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, volcanic eruptions will succeed one another and change the Earth's present appearance and climate. This will lead to complete economic collapse. Increased starvation, famine, epidemics of diseases will hit countries, and the medical science will be powerless. If the human being as an individual and civilization want to survive these changes, then he must completely change, restructure his present mindset, his paradigm, and adapt to the demands and expectations of the new age. A new consciousness in a new time is therefore a necessity for the survival of the earthly man and civilization. Who is the spiritual master teacher who is to initiate people in the new age, the golden age? According to Sandra A. Marcus, Mark John, he came here about 26,000 years ago, along with his twin sister Sophia and a few other volunteers in a spaceship from Sirius A to the Atlantean continent on Earth. This was partly to gain knowledge and experience about the three-dimensional material world's nature, which Earth at that time was about to enter from the fourth dimension, the parallel world. But it was also to help the primitive earthly man in his moral cosmic development on Earth. Because the situations that prevailed on Earth during past ages, it was impossible for a highly developed female being to take on a master-teacher role and teach man cosmology, metaphysics, science, etc., even if she descended from high dimensional realms. This was due to the animalistic level of consciousness and male chauvinistic governance that to date has characterized the development on Earth. We have chosen to mention some of the spiritual master teachers' incarnations, which are of particular importance. He was the pharaoh Amenhotep IV, Akhenaten in Egypt, around 1300 BC, because his twin sister from Sirius A in that incarnation was his mother Teia. He became the pharaoh of Egypt. At the beginning of his regime, he abolished the Ammon clergymen, who he believed had their influence from the star system Orion and Draco. After Akhenaten's biological death, the clergymen seized the power of Egypt. The Ammon clergy mainly devoted themselves to black magic and poisoned, and murdered those who stood in the way of the power needs and misled the people by forcing them to believe in and worship various fictitious gods. In later incarnation, about 100 years AD, he was Markion, Mark John, and lived in Sinope, Pontus, in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is the area around the two rivers, Tigris and Euphrates. At that time, until 1535, the area belonged to Persia. Mesopotamia consisted of many civilizations that worked side by side and succeeded each other. Among them were the Sumerian, Akkadian, Hittite, Babylonian, Assyrian, Persian, etc. Markion had his own doctrine that was later called Markionism. It's derived from the unadulterated Christianity, the teachings that Christ mediated to mankind on earth through John. Markion tried to introduce his doctrine to the established Christian church, but since he didn't gain a hearing, he founded his own church with its bases in Rome, which quickly grew very strong, but was declared blasphemous by the established church that followed the way of Paul. The summer of 144 AD, he gathered the Christian leaders in Rome for a meeting, where he felt it was time for the Christian church to take responsibility and break with the Judaism. Markion believed that Judaism had nothing with the doctrine of Christ to do. The creator of the universe, according to the God of the Old Testament, was Yahweh, Jehovah, and God had thus nothing to do with the supreme divinity, Christ's power, creator of souls, the creative power to do. The Jesus that is mentioned in the Bible is only a synonym of the individual soul atom, soul, the Son principle, while Christ, on the other hand, is a synonym of the all-encompassing soul, Father, the ocean of energy and absolute consciousness. Christ, Satpurush, are those synonyms of the original, spiritually related, unlimited, implicit, folded, unmanifested part of the creation, the first source intelligence. Yahweh, Jehovah, Kalpurush are synonyms of the mind-related, limited, explicit, unfolded, manifested part of the creation, the second source intelligence, that is everything that has to do with the mind world, material world, the form to do. Christ is the creative power of soul atoms, souls. Yahweh, Jehovah, is the creative power of the mind world, matter and form. These two powers and consciousness levels are like oil and water and are out of quality completely different. Markion made clear that Satpurush, Christ, is the supreme source, the universal soul, the all-encompassing consciousness of the energy ocean, the absolute consciousness. The explicit, unfolded part of this is revealed through Jesus, that is the individual soul. Jesus, those is the separated, individualized part, Son principle, or drop of this ocean of energy of all-encompassing consciousness. Yahweh, Jehovah, as the Jews claim to be their absolute supreme deity, is the creator, the creative power of the mind world, sensory matter, form, and is of a secondary nature from a qualitative and consciousness point of view. Markion also believed that Christ was not a man, but a pure spiritual power, energy and consciousness, and that his death was an apparent death. Therefore, the teachings of Christ is often regarded as a branch of Gnosticism, although in many aspects it's different from it. Markion believed that the Old Testament after the entry of Jesus was irrelevant to the Christians, and therefore he compiled an own doctrine. He also considered all mind and sensory related matter to be of negative nature because it binds man to itself. It prevents man to get to know his true identity, his true self, and keeps him in ignorance, in the dungeon of unconsciousness. Markion knew that Earth, as well as the rest of the universe, was not created by the supreme divinity, Christ power, but by the negative, demiurge, and that people through the individual soul, Jesus, has been given the opportunity to seek the pure spirituality, and thus has the opportunity to return to Father's house, the original source from where the soul once descended. The Demiurge is the name of the creative god, Yahweh, Jehovah, Kalpurush, Brahma, Lucifer, etc., who originates from the Greek demiurgus, meaning craftsman. Yahweh, Jehovah, is the craftsman, creator of the mind and sensory-related universe. It includes the mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, and the human kingdom with their countless forms. All this belongs to Yahweh, Jehovah, Brahma, Kalpurush, the domain of Lucifer. Markion was excommunicated by the so-called Christian Church after the meeting. Markion, Mark John, translated the first genuine Christian doctrine, that is the Gospel, and Paul's 10 letters from Assyrian, Armenian into Greek. This Gospel was then fragmented into 3 further Gospels of Matthew, Luke, and John, which were then used to spread Christianity across the world. It was Paul who laid the foundation of the current Christianity. Paul was Jewish and did not believe in Christianity, and he had never heard of Jesus. On the contrary, he persecuted all Christians and contributed to their executions. Not until the road to Damascus in Syria, when Paul were to capture some Christians and bring them home to Jerusalem, he had an encounter with a light being whose power was so powerful that he lost his sight. The light being asked him, "Paul, why are you persecuting me?" After this experience, he became completely the opposite and began to spread Christianity into the world. During the 1500s, Mark John, Markion, reincarnated in Spain in the shape of Miguel Serveto, once again trying to reform the church. Also this time, he failed due to the dictatorialness of the church. He was burned at the stake, accused of heresy in 1553 AD in Geneva, Switzerland. Miguel Serveto was both a physician and physicist. As a physicist, he was regarded as a heretic by the church. Mark John reincarnated in Tibet as a high-ranking lama during the 1600s and was active in Tashilhunpo, which was the main monastery in Chigatse, Tibet. During the 1700s, Mark John reincarnated in the shape of George Rakoczy, son of Prince Francis Leopold II Rakoczy of Transylvania, Siebenbürgen. George Rakoczy changed his name in 1726 to Count Sarojy. Everybody thought that George Rakoczy had died in Paris in 1726. He lived under the name of Count Sarojy for 12 years and then took the name of Saint-Germain in order not to be recognized by the Habsburg Empire. His father, Prince Francis Leopold II Rakoczy, was exiled to Turkey, to Rodostu, Tekirdağ, in February 1711 because he led the Hungarian uprising against the Austrian monarchy. Prince Francis Leopold II Rakoczy died in exile in 1735. Mark John, alias Saint-Germain, left his biological physical housing, his body, in February 27, 1784, in Eckenförde in Schleswig-Holstein, Germany. At that time, Eckenförde belonged to Denmark. Once again, he reincarnated in 1834 in the shape of Wilhelm August Edward Max Zschäpke in Germany. In this incarnation, he chose to be the father of his twin sister from Sirius A, alias Jean Becoeur, Countess du Barry, who in this incarnation was known as Maria Martha Mathilde Zschäpke and later as Marie Kreuer and Maria Alfvén. Saint-Germain thought his twin sister in this incarnation had a lot to clear up, mentally and emotionally, because of her previous incarnations as females in a dominating male chauvinistic world. This thinking also today characterizes most of the world's humanity. Man, from a consciousness point of view, has not evolved significantly for several thousand years and is still closer to the animal stage than the human stage. It's important to keep in mind that the technological progress that has occurred to date not has been thanks to humans, but instead of extraterrestrials. A high technology in the hands of an undeveloped and unconscious human being inflicts a great danger upon the survival of the earthly civilization. The earthly civilization is still closer to the animal stage than the human stage from a consciousness point of view. The world and society today is still characterized by violence, egoism, lust for power, greed, vanity, sensual pleasure and more. You reach the human stage of consciousness once when you have ridden yourself of all negative, destructive thoughts, feelings and qualities. John Mark, alias Saint-Germain, together with his twin sister Sophia from Sirius A, are the two spokespersons ambassadors who together constitute the spiritual master teacher, Unifier, who comes from Sweden and Scandinavia. The spiritual master teacher, Unifier, is the office of these two cosmic beings from Sirius A, who embody Lao wisdom, that is Maitreya Buddha, its appearance in the initial stage of the Golden Age. These two beings together constitute the spokespersons of the implicit folded, unmanifested part of creation, the innermost core of the central sun, the supreme deity, Christ consciousness, but are also the spokespersons of the explicit, unfolded, manifested part of creation, that is, the seventh super-universe, the central race, the second source intelligence, Buddha consciousness, Lao wisdom, their embodiment. The world doctrine conveyed by the spiritual master teacher to the earthly civilization at the entrance into the Golden Age constitutes the so far misunderstood part of the Christ doctrine and maxims. These have, due to ignorance and limited consciousness, been left out from the Christian teachings. The earthly man must follow it both in word and deed if he wants to be a part of the civilization of the New Age, the Fifth in Order, and continue his cosmic development on Earth.